Well, good evening. Let's all take our psalm books and turn to page 601. Page 601. Let's all stand together and sing, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms. Good singing. 465, 465.
you on a Wednesday evening. Thanks for making the trip out. I know everybody's work today. Pray the Lord speaks to your heart. A couple of reminders before Brother Bob comes for prayer time. Next Wednesday starts our, whatever we're calling it. Kind of like the midweek connections. That's kind of nice. It makes me feel comfortable. Whatever it is, we're going to have ice cream next Wednesday. So that's really what it's all about, you know. And the hokey pokey, right? Because it has to be both of those two things. Sorry, it ran through my head and I just gave it to you. It's free. It's Wednesday. You're sleeping anyways. All right, graduation party's coming up. Allison and Livia both have theirs coming up. And teen camp is the 16th through the 20th. Bob, go ahead and come forward. Let me give you the names of the speakers. I'd like you to pray for those two guys that we'll have this year. Brother Ed Loney is starting out the week. And then Dean Miller. I heard Dean Miller, man, was in Philadelphia probably 10 years ago at a singles retreat. Heard him. He was really good. And so pray for Ed Loney and Dean Miller. That's who will be preaching to the teens this year at teen camp. That's June the 16th through the 20th. All right, that's all I have, Brother Bob.
stay seated, but we'll sing one more song before the pastor comes. And page 248, God is good. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me. He died for me. He died for me. He died for me. He's so good to me. He answers prayer. He answers prayer. He answers prayer. He's so good to me. He's coming soon. He's coming soon. He's coming soon. He's so good to me.
Proverbs chapter 1. Give you an update on Peter prayed for him, but Pastor Ryan Wright. He is still in the hospital. Had a hard weekend, but had to turn to the good yesterday and Monday and yesterday. And his first meal was he ate some broth, so he's doing better. And hadn't eaten for 2 weeks. And so here's what they'd like you to pray for, if you could. That's continued progression on the digestion. And I gotta imagine once you've had the small intestine completely out of your body, it takes that thing a while to get back to normal. But if you could pray for that, and then the healing on that incision, and most likely at this point will be in the hospital for quite a while, is what they're looking at right there. So if you could pray for him, I know they would appreciate it very, very much. Looking at the people in Proverbs, and we looked at last week, the simple. And the simple is someone who is weak in intellect, not wise and silly. And a lot of times, a simple person is someone who is, well, they're sheltered or they're young and they've not had any life experience yet. And sometimes they can get caught off guard. Then there's the scorner, and that's someone who is a scoffer or a derider of Scripture. It's one who scoffs at religion. One who scoffs at its ordinances and its teachers. They make a mockery of sin and judgment and the threatenings of God. They're just against everything that is spiritual. This evening we're going to probably begin looking, I don't know that we'll get all the way through it, looking at the fool. These are the people that Solomon warns us about. He warns us about the simple, the scorner, and the fool. The fool is one who is destitute of reason, or the common powers of understanding. And as we laughed at last week, Webster said in 1828, an idiot. Now, today that's offensive. You can't say that, but that's how he defined fool for us in the dictionary. First time it occurs is in Proverbs chapter 1. We'll read that to start off, but that won't be where we're literally starting from. It's verse 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. A fool is against the things that make sense, right? They're against the things that come easy. They can't reason through things. They have a hard time understanding things, and they're not the simple person. The simple person is that way because of their youth or their experience. The fool may have all the experience, but it's just an idiot. You ever met an idiot in your life? Trade world is full of them. They are, and then there are some idiots that are very good at what they do. They're just idiots. I remember when I first started, there was a parade of homes, and they would do 15 to 20 homes on the same road, and that was absolute chaos. We were doing flooring with literally painters, electricians, plumbers. I mean, everybody was in the house. And I was with some electricians not too long ago, two younger guys, and that makes me sound old when I say that, but I'm not old. And they were irritated that I was there the same day they were there. And they weren't being mean about it, they were just irritated. And I looked at them both, and I've worked with them a bunch. I said, listen, I said, me being here, we can figure out who's going to be where, and we'll work that out. I said, guys, you needed to start working in this trade 20 years ago where you weren't working if you were afraid to work with other people. But some people can't. Why? They're just an idiot. They don't know how to get along with other people. That's who the fool is. It's not that they can't, they just won't. They just won't do it. Let's go to chapter 10, Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 18. Here's what we'll start with. And we'll look at the fool, number one, and the mouth. The fool is known for his mouth, and Solomon has a lot to say about the fool and his mouth. And if you're not careful, your mouth will have a lot to say about you. Guilty as charged, right? All right, Proverbs chapter 10, look at verse 18. It says, he that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. The mouth, number one, exaggerates. It exaggerates out. He's hiding the hatred with the lying lips, so he's not saying what he's meaning, right? He's cloaking it, and he that uttereth a slander, both of those people, he is a fool, though he thinks himself a politician, right? He's saying nice and wonderful things, but they're slow and they're cutting, and the fool has a very, very sharp tongue. God will sooner or later bring forth what this person is trying to hide. A lot of times we get upset when someone's slandering or lying. Hey, let it go. Let God take, if it's worth taking care of, God will take care of it. And God will expose it for what it is. Proverbs chapter 17, let's look at that. Proverbs chapter 17, do a little bit of turning, but only in the book of Proverbs, or maybe just flipping on your phone, whichever one you be using. Proverbs 17, verse 7 says, excellent speech becometh not a fool, much less do lying lips a prince, meaning the prince has the excellent speech, and the fool is a liar. He's not known for saying good things. And remember when we started a couple weeks ago, look at yourself. Do I have this tendency? When I'm explaining or talking to someone, what is my tendency in speech? We all know that once you start lying, then you have to keep lying. And eventually you're going to get caught in your lie. I love watching interrogations. You get two detectives sitting down, and they'll talk to someone for 2 to 3 hours if they're dumb enough to do it. Because you don't have to do that, right? You have to say one magic phrase and you're done, right? Which is, I need a lawyer. And then some people just, they don't, and they talk because they like to talk. They're a fool. They're lying and they're weaving this thing, but that guy is keeping notes on paper and sometimes in his head, and he'll let them talk for 30 minutes, and then he'll circle back to something and they'll change what they said before. They're a fool. Their truth cannot come out of their mouth. They're given to exaggeration. They want to paint it better. They want to make it look better. They want to really make themselves look better. Is that you? Or can you just be honest? I was looking for a stair nose this week. I ordered it last week. Joke's on me, thought I ordered it last week. I made the phone call, never got ordered. I texted and said, hey, I'm going to swing by and get that stair nose. The response was, I'm sorry, I got busy and didn't do that. But that's on me. I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty that you're owning it. That didn't help me. But at least you own the fact that you didn't do your job. Go to chapter 14, look at verse 3. The mouth exaggerates. Secondly, the mouth exalts. It's always lifting up. And notice what he calls him, or what he says that his mouth is in chapter 14, verse 3. It says, in the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise shall preserve them. The foolish person is exalted inside of themselves. They are full of themselves. In the midst of their lie, in the midst of their exaggeration, they're boastful. Everything that they've ever done is great and wonderful, even though they've never done anything. Matthew Henry says, where there is pride in the heart and no wisdom in the head to suppress it, it commonly shows itself in the words. I have pride in my heart. You have pride in your heart, but you need the wisdom that comes from God to push that back down. And the fool doesn't have that. That pride just comes forth out of his mouth, and he's always talking about himself. He's exalting himself above measure and above what he is, what he's capable of. And listen, no one, I tell my kids when they're grown up, don't be the person that's talking about yourself. No one wants to be around the person who's talking about themselves and does everything the right way. We all make mistakes. We all mess up. But the fool, it's always about me. It's always about how great I am and lifting up himself. And there's no wisdom to suppress that. There's no wisdom to push that down. Notice verse 1 of chapter 14. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with their hands. There's the contrast of the wisdom and the fool. Wisdom builds up. The fool breaks stuff down. Wisdom elevates people. The fool tears people down. Where do you fit there? What is your tendency? Do you have a tendency there? Go to chapter 15, look at verse number 7. The mouth exaggerates, it exalts, but then notice the mouth exposes some things. Chapter 15, verse number 7. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, so that wise person helps other people, lifts other people up, but the heart of the foolish doeth not so. Those lips of that wise person gives out the knowledge. It's helping people. It's lifting people up. But notice that foolish person from where? From their heart. So that means that's who they are. They're not pretending. They really think that much of themselves. They've convinced themselves in their own head that they are that great. And if they're that great, you can't be. Whereas the wise person takes a step back in life and is able to see things on a more level playing field and is here to help you and here to help you. And their life isn't about them. They're lifting other people up. Go to back to chapter 14. It gives here, as it exposes, it gives awareness. It gives awareness. You should have inside of you this ability to be able to see things. Notice verse 7 of chapter 14. Go from the presence of a foolish man. Why? When thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. Be aware. Don't stay around, I'll use Webster's definition, don't stay around idiots. Evil communications corrupt good manners. It's always true. There's never been a moment in my life, I've been pulled over a couple different times, there's never been a moment where I had to get pulled out of the car because of the odor of marijuana or something else. Why? I never hung around those people, never got involved in that stuff. Evil communications corrupt good manners. If you're around it, it's going to have an effect on you. Be aware of that. Don't stay with the foolish person. Now, be kind. Probably don't call them an idiot on your first encounter. But there may be a person in your life that you may have to have that conversation. Hey, listen. When you say stuff, it doesn't come off good. But have that ability to step away from that. His communication, his conversation of that fool is corrupting. And nothing in it is good, and to use what Paul said, none of it is used for edifying, Ephesians 5:29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. What does my mouth expose about me? When other people hear me speak, what does it say about me? It doesn't take much to stand out in the world. Number one, listen, if you don't curse, you will stand out. Because it is just regular speech. It is regular speech. There's one word in particular that's the adjective that fits literally everywhere. And I don't get angry about it because they're not even thinking about it when they say it. I don't do this right away, but I'll get to know someone and then eventually say to them, listen, if I took that word out of your vocabulary, how would you form sentences? I don't know, man. I never even thought about it. I'm just talking. I said, well, think about it. So why does it fit there? It doesn't fit there. You're forcing it in there. It's not in the sentence. My speech shouldn't be something that someone is looking at me going, I don't know how much more I can be around this person. I'm not edified when I'm around them. When I leave them, I'm torn down. When I leave them, I'm all beat up. When I leave them, I know all of the gossip about everybody. I don't want that to be me. I don't want to go looking for, I don't care. I'm not worried. Listen, if someone needs prayer, I will pray about it, but I don't need all the sordid details. I just don't. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. Listen, my speech, my talk shouldn't be sending off alarm bells that someone else is aware that, whoa, I need to back off of this. This is a relationship I need to put some distance in my life. It exposes awareness, but then knows it exposes appetites. In chapter 15, verse 14, 15:14. The heart of him that hath understanding seeketh knowledge. But, so here's your contrast. The mouth of fools feedeth on what? Foolishness. The fool is the fool because that is his appetite. But notice, once again, there's the heart. The heart of him that hath understanding seeketh after the knowledge. If you want to know about the things of God, you'll research the things of God. And if you don't, then you won't. But you're putting information into your head. Something is going inside of your brain each and every day. What is that? What are those things? That mouth of the fool, what is it doing? It's just feeding on foolishness. If we're not careful, I'm going to step on your toes just a little bit. If we're not careful, the scrolling on your phone is just feeding on foolishness. Guilty. Be aware. Don't be the fool. And listen, it's easy to get caught in mindless scrolling, isn't it? And all of a sudden, a half hour is gone. And what was it? Was it edifying to you? No, it's just a bunch of foolishness. And if we're not careful, our appetites aren't the things that they should be. You are what you eat. Right? You want to be healthier? Then eat healthier things. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, don't eat things. Oh, no, I watched that video on the natural flavors. Oh, I should have never watched that video. Now I just don't read labels anymore. Well, if I'm dying of natural flavors, I'm just going to die. I don't even know. Lord help me. One of Trey's baseball coaches went behind me the other day and he had his Marlboros in his hand, and I said, hey, those things are going to kill you. He's like, yeah, that and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Right? That's fair. You might be speeding up the process a little bit. The problem with him is he's smoking and vaping at the same time, so he's smacking it behind both ends, man. He's a really good dude, but he's just both ends, Tom. Yeah, get her done, buddy. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10. I'd say that if he was sitting here. You don't care. He's fantastic. But I didn't have an argument for him. I'm just like, well, you're right. Man, you could vape or eat a Swiss cake roll, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? You could vape or your fruity drink from Starbucks. That's not fruit. Just in case you were wondering. Just throwing that out there for you. So I'm sorry, that was two meddling things. I only said there was one. Ecclesiastes 10, look at verse number 12. The words of a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of the fool will do what? Swallow up himself. My words should be gracious words. They should be edifying words. They should be helpful words. What is the fool literally eats himself with his own words. Verse 13, the beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk, and I love this phrase, is mischievous madness. You're insane. A fool, verse 14, is full of words. A man cannot tell what shall be, and what shall be after him. Who can tell him? The labor of the foolish wearieth every one of them, because he knoweth not how to go to the city. In other words, the fool is standing there talking. He's swallowing himself with his own words. He's talking so much. Everyone has stopped listening. Why? He doesn't even know what he's saying. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He can't give you direction for your life. It's just words. It's just vain repetitions. Be aware of that. Watch out for those appetites will show itself to other people. Listen, do I have any of those kinds of things in me? Do I have moments where I just have endless words? Or as Paul would say, endless genealogies, just rambling, incoherently? Do my words have a use? Or do I just enjoy hearing myself talk? We've been married 25 years, and for 25 years my wife has been frustrated because I'm not a man of many words. I have very few words. Well, you're not talking, she'll say. That's very true. No. Why? Don't have anything to say. Not mad or upset. I just don't have anything to say. I just feel like you're really quiet. Well, it's because I am. I don't have anything to say. If I did, you'd know all about it. I promise you. Promise you. Notice in Proverbs chapter 19, look at verse number 1. The mouth not only exposes, but it entices. The fool's mouth entices. Eventually the fool is going to speak long enough. You ever meet somebody, especially when they're younger, and say one day someone's going to punch them in the mouth? Or you meet someone that's older and you think nobody ever punched them in the mouth, right? Proverbs 19 verse 1. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. It's better that it worked. Why? Because that's just appalling. That's just appalling. Go to chapter 18, look at verse 6. A fool's lips enter into what? Contention, and his mouth calleth for what? Strokes. The fool walks right into the, oh yeah? And they can't back it up. They don't have the means to back it up. They don't have the knowledge to back it up. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to back it up. Why? It's going to hurt tomorrow. And a fool doesn't care. His mouth walks right into bad situations. Matthew Henry said, proud and passionate men and drunkards are fools whose lips enter into contention. More people end up in handcuffs because they won't shut their mouth. Oh, I'm just doing a video audit. Oh, stop it. What if I video audited you at work? Oh, right, you don't work. Never mind. What is that? That's someone's mouth who's just walking into trouble, walking into contention. I think the last time I got pulled over, Marissa was with me. And it was just a highway patrolman looking for drunk people. I wasn't driving like a drunk person, but it was 10:30 at night, and I was driving a white van with no windows in the back. So I knew what he was doing. We went past Door Elementary. He pulled up behind me. I told her, I said, we're going to get pulled over. What was he doing? He was just rolling the dice. Why? The odds of somebody on a Friday night at 10:30 in a van like that, the odds are high that they're high or drunk. You go either way. So I wasn't mad at him. I knew what he was doing, and what I loved is he was really honest, really, really fast. Hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? So I told him, and he's like, I'm just looking for drunk people. And I said, give me your badge number. I want your supervisor right now. No, that would have been calling for strokes. That would have been a contention. That's a fool. That's a fool. I said, I'm not upset that he's looking for drunk people. This doesn't bother me. Well, it's against our, oh, stop. Stop. That fool's mouth entices. Go to chapter 18, look at verse 7, the verse right underneath verse 6. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. His mouth is destroying him, and his mouth is trapping him within himself. His words are catching him, and it gets himself into trouble. Listen, don't let that be you. Let wisdom be a filter for your words. I just had Jiminy Cricket roll through my head. And always let your conscience. Don't do that. That's not biblical. Don't do that. If there is a whale, watch out, though. It entices. Go to chapter 29, look at verse 11. It empties. The mouth of the fool empties. Well, what does it empty? Do you know? 29, verse 11. A fool uttereth how much of his mind? All of it. But a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. Mark Twain is known for this. I don't know if he said this or not, because you can't trust Google anymore. It's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than open it and remove all doubt. You know what the fool does? He removes all doubt every time. You just can't keep quiet. Well, I need to give my opinion. I listen to a little talk radio on the way to work when I can handle Fred Lefevre in the morning. And I'm not one of those people that calls in. Why? Because I listen to the people that call in. And he's baiting them every morning. And every morning they call in with their opinion, and it doesn't work. Just quiet. Quiet. The fool uttereth all of his mind. The fool is throwing that out. Go to chapter 15. Look at verse number 2. Chapter 15, verse number 2. We mentioned how his mouth feedeth on foolishness, but notice what he says in here in chapter 15, verse 2. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of the fool, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. There's just so much in there. It's just continually dumping. Listen, don't let that be you. Have a guard on your mouth. Have a guard on your lips. Be a wise person. Don't be that fool that empties everything out for everybody else. Go back to chapter 29. Look at verse number 20. Watch this. He says in chapter 29:11 that a fool uttereth all his mind, and the wise man keepeth it until afterwards. But notice what he says in verse number 20 of chapter 29. He says, seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? Right? So someone that just can't keep their mouth shut. There is more hope of a what? Fool than of him. He takes that to a whole new level. The fool has, why? Because the fool can figure some things out. But if you're the person who has to have the first word, if you're the person who has to speak first, if you're the person that has to speak the loudest, you are your own destruction. So being a fool, it doesn't mean that that's the end of it. And we'll cover that in a few weeks. It's not the end of you. Being the simple person is not the end of you. Being the fool is not the end of you. The scorner, there's where you get into trouble. The scorner is hard to come back from. So that is the mouth. Look at the manner of the fool. The manner of the fool. Chapter 10, look at verses 8 and verse 10 as well. 8 and 10. Chapter 10, verse 8 and verse number 10. The wise in heart will receive commandments. So they will listen. But a prating fool shall fall. Verse 10, he that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. The manner of the fool is pride. It is who he is. It is what he is about. He is all about himself. You do not have to guess. You don't have to guess. Why? He's going to tell you. But he is his own downfall. The manner of the fool is pride. It is also despising. What is despising? When I despise something, back in chapter 1, verse 7 is where that verse is. Despising is to contemn, to scorn, to disdain, to have the lowest opinion of. So notice, you're starting to scorn things. You're starting to drift that way. That simple person, if they don't take some life lessons, if they don't take some instruction, if they don't take some wisdom, that simple person becomes that fool. And if that fool's not careful, he'll slide over into the scorner. That's why not being the scorner or leaving that place is super difficult, because you've taken so many steps to get to the place where you're at. And you've said so many things. Listen, the least amount of words that come out of your mouth is the least amount of things you have to give an account of someday. Doesn't the Bible say every idle word? Some people use a lot of words. Despising, notice here's the first thing. The manner of the fool is pride, but it's also despising. It's how he operates. He's full of himself, and so he despises things. He's the guy that's in control. His opinion matters more than everybody else's. Well, what does he despise? He is despising of advice. Chapter 1, verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Fools despise the thing that helps you get through life. Fools look down on the thing that is actually the two things that will lift you up and give you wisdom and some instruction. And you'll learn some things about you. The fool can't learn anything about himself because he knows everything. Some of the hardest people to reach is that fool, almost the scorner. Why? Because they know everything. And there isn't anything that you can tell them that's going to change what they're doing. They're going to have to crash and burn to figure it out. It's like someone whose marriage is failing, and so you tell them, hey, these three things, and they have an immediate response for all three things. Okay. Well, then guess what's going to fail? If you want a better walk with God, try these three things. Well, I did that one. I tried this one, and yeah, this one doesn't really work for me. Okay, then. The fool despises advice. He despises that wisdom and instruction. Chapter 15, verse number 5. Chapter 15, verse number 5. Fools despise wisdom and instruction, and they have no dread at all. There's no fear in their life for God's wrath. And at the same time, there's no desire for his favor either. And they're sliding into a place they don't want to be. Chapter 15, verse 5. A fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is what? Prudent. A fool looks at the old man and says, nah, what do you know? I mean, there was a point in all of our lives where we had it all figured out. And then you look back and think, maybe he knew something. I wished I would have paid just a little bit more attention to what he was saying. But the fool despises that. Go to chapter 17, look at verse 10. Notice this. Chapter 17, look at verse 10. A reproof entereth more into a wise man. So having a wise man and reproving them and setting them down and correcting them, a reproof entereth more into a wise man than 100 stripes into a fool. You're better for a fool just to go bash your head against that wall. Because it's not going to matter. Nothing that you have to say is going to get through them. Why? They're not the wise man. They're the fool. They're despising of advice, and they're despising of authority. Chapter 15, look at verse number 20. 15 and verse number 20. A wise man maketh a glad father, but a foolish man despiseth his mother. Listen, you not like your dad, say bad things about your dad, but if you despise your mom, you and I got issues. Them's fighting words right there. You can say whatever you want about me. You can put it on the internet. You can post it on Facebook, all about me. You start talking about my wife, the mother of my children. You start talking about my mom, I'm going to come visit you. But the fool, not bothered. Not at all. Why? Doesn't like authority. Has never liked authority. And brushes it off and pushes it off. And that's how he's going to live his entire life. Against authority. Listen, my dad, my grandpa passed away when my dad was 18. Dad got mad at God and was tired of people telling him what to do. So you know what he did? Went in the Air Force. Genius move, Dad. Good job. Nobody there telling you what to do at all. And he'll admit that. The fool says, what? I'm just going to put myself in a place where nobody's telling me what to do. That's never going to be it. Well, I'll own my own business and nobody will tell me what to do. No, everybody will tell you what to do. Everybody will be your boss. Everyone will have a say then. But that fool doesn't like authority. Chapter 23 and verse number 22. Here's the advice that Solomon gives. Chapter 23, verse 22. Hearken unto thy father that begat thee, and despise not thy mother when she is old. That's the advice. What does the fool do with it? Pushes it, both of them away. Why? His problem is with the authority. His problem is, well, they handled it, and they said this way, and that thing hurt me, and stop. Stop. If something was bad and should have been reported to the police and nobody did anything about it, I'm really sorry about that. But that's about the only thing. If there was abuse, okay, we can talk about it. But beyond that, stop being soft. When my dad yelled at me, congratulations. There's some people sitting in here, they just wanted their dad in their life. Right? There's both sides of that thing right there. Well, my dad yelled at me and he said mean things to me. Well, so-and-so just wanted a dad. How about that? They would love to have a dad that yelled at them. It's all about perspective, but the fool looks at it and says, nope, don't need either of them. Chapter 30, verse number 17. Here's what he gives you as the end result for the fool. You don't want to hearken. You don't want to listen. You're going to despise your mother when she's old. All right. Here's a possibility for you. The eye that mocketh at his father and despiseth to obey his mother, the ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young eagle shall eat it. Go ahead. You know, one thing I think we're missing in our society right now is honor thy father and thy mother. That's not Ephesians 6:1. I don't got to obey him anymore. Correct. If you're out of the house, you don't have to obey him. But there's still a command to honor him. Well, you don't know. God didn't give you, there's no clauses. He said to honor him. So here's what I'm going to pray for you. That however you handle that, you get that in return. If you don't want to honor them, then I'll pray one day, if God blesses you with children, that you get that in return back to you. Why? It sounds good because it's the fool saying it. So he's saying it, so it automatically sounds good to him. The manner of the fool is one of pride, it's one of despising, and it's one of folly. What is folly? Folly is weakness of intellect, imbecility of mind. It's the want of understanding. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Look at verse number 1. Ecclesiastes 10, verse number 1. This folly, number 1, is displayed. It's out for everyone to see. Dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savor. So doth a little folly him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor. A wise man's heart is at his right hand, but a fool's heart at his what? Left. Yea, also, when he that is a fool walketh by the way, his wisdom faileth him. He saith to every one that he is a fool. Eventually, you'll prove to everyone exactly who you are. And your wisdom will fail you. And you'll tell everyone, I'm a fool. Proverbs 13:16 says, every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but a fool layeth open his folly. Proverbs 13:6. The fool can't help, he just lays it right open. He feeds on the foolishness, he lays open the folly. That's what he lives for. Go to chapter 14, look at verse 8. That folly is displayed, but then it is also defined. He defines it in 3 different ways. Chapter 14, look at verse 8. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way. Here's the opposite of that. But the folly of fools is what? It's deceit. That folly, definition number 1, he's deceiving himself. He's deceiving himself into thinking that what he's doing and what he's saying actually is going to work. Look down at verse 24. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the foolishness of the fools is folly. Definition number 2, that folly is his currency for life that is going to come up empty. There's going to be nothing there for him. Why? Back to verse 8, it's deceiving him. Chapter 16, look at verse 22. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that hath it, but the instruction of fools is folly. His words are vain and useless. His words are empty. That's the definition of that folly. Look at the decisions that he makes. I'll give you, a decision you have to make, that I have to make, and Solomon gives it to you both ways. Proverbs 26 and 4 and 5. He gives you both sides of the coin. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou be like unto him. And then he gives you, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Say, well, which one do you choose? Yes. No. You have to make a choice. Do you ever make the right one? I don't know. Because it's situational. You ever been in that spot? Do I say anything? Do I stick my foot in? Because once I stick my foot in, then it's in. So you have to decide how well you know that person. Are you going to end up being just like him? You have to make that choice. Notice the destruction down in verse 11 of chapter 26. Here's where he ends up, at the end of himself. 26:11. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. Sinners relapse, right? What is a fool? A fool relapses. And as gross as it is, the fool gets into his folly so much that it upsets him, and he vomits that folly right back up. And then 20, 30 minutes later convinces himself that he feels better and devours that vomit back up and continues on with his life. That's the life of a fool. To his own destruction. And forgetting every time that all of his actions, all of his words, all of those things are what making him sick. Doesn't Solomon say about the drunkard, and yet I'll do it again? And yet I hear him again. The fool's mouth gets him into trouble. He says dumb things. People leave him. He has no friends. His life is a total disaster because he can't shut his mouth. And what does he keep doing? The same thing over and over again. And his position is this, of pride and arrogance, that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. And what he has the inability to do is take a step back from that and say, I need to make some changes. So look at your life. Where do you fit? Are any of those things you? Is there any part of that fool that you say, hey, man, I struggle with that, and I need to fix that? And if it is, let me encourage you, make that adjustment. Don't be the person who has the truth of the Word of God, but's a fool. Just because you have the truth doesn't mean that it doesn't matter how you say it. It matters how you say it. It matters how you tell the world about Jesus Christ. It matters. And the fool just blurts it out. Oh, they just need to learn how to handle it. Or maybe you need to be kind and considerate. But a fool, what does he do? He utters all his mind. He's not worried about what anybody else thinks. He's not worried about anybody else's place in their life. And eventually, he's his own destruction. I hope that's not you. I hope there's none of those things. I hope you can look at all that list and say, hey, I'm clear on all of those. But if you're not clear on all, make the adjustment to get those things right. All right, let's stand to our feet. A little bit over 8 o'clock tonight. Next week, I'll have to be much shorter than this. Or the ice cream will be melted. And that's a travesty of life right there. Can't have that. All right, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, God, thank you for meeting with us this evening. God, we think of those that we lifted up to you, God, this evening that are a lot of people struggling with cancer and sickness. God, I pray that you'd put your hand on each and every one of them. And God, I pray that, God, on my heart, my mind is the teens over in Tanzania. God, I pray that you keep them safe. Be with Brother John as he's there, and Pastor Hobbins. God, I pray that you give them wisdom. God, that you would just guide and direct their steps. May that trip, God, be something that is life-changing for some of those teens that are there. God, I pray that you keep us safe as we go home. Bring us back on Sunday morning, God, ready to hear from you. Thank you for your goodness to us. In Jesus' name, amen.